So one of the things that is driving me crazy in the current AI war, and I talked about this a lot before, I would try to go in a little bit more details about it this time, it's basically people who focus a lot of effort, specifically from leadership, business perspective, about let's solve the problem of tomorrow. Let's go AGI, let's do decrease costs and stuff like this. But there are a lot of opportunities that's literally beneath their feet and they are not doing anything about it. So before I start talking about this, I just want to give a quick introduction about myself. I have been in software for about 23 years, give or take. Worked a big portion of this in FANG and FANG Plus companies like Amazon, Google, Microsoft, and a little bit smaller companies like Booking.com, startups, other smaller companies. I worked in US, in Canada, India, China, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, Netherlands, and now I live and work in United Kingdom in London. I worked in so many different domains like video games, systems, operating systems, databases, engines, mobile applications, augmented reality, AI, infrastructure, SRE, a lot of different domains, a lot of different business domains, switching between IC and management and leadership. I've been mainly working in leadership and management for the last maybe 12 years, give or take. I mentored thousands of people in a one-to-one capacity, millions through articles and videos. I teach computer science, data structure, problem solving, algorithms, design patterns, system design, things like that. And I'm also a polymath. I went through over a dozen different fields that has nothing to do with software, like law. I can drive airplanes. I went through counter-terrorism school, basically the same school that SWAT takes in Kings County in Washington, perfume design, photography, a lot of different things that has nothing to do with software really. And I think the reason why it's like that, it's a mixture between my neurodivergence. I have 3 different neurodivergence. I am bipolar, I have ADHD, I also have some sort of a little bit minor or not really that major case of OCD. I also have a gifted level IQ. I'm a member in Mensa, Entertel, 999 Society. So that kind of mixture between things helped me, or basically, I think it's physically structured my brain to work horizontally, which means I think I spent maybe the biggest part of my life until maybe 2003 or 2023 or 2022. I spent the majority of my life just really feeling bad. And the reason is every time I join a new place or I join a new company and basically I go through onboarding with same people, I find everyone is going faster than me. And a lot of stuff that doesn't make sense to me or I think I don't understand, I find other people really understand this. And it drove me crazy because I know for a fact I'm not stupid. I have proven IQ about this, and I have a lot of stuff that I did in my life that proves that from a perspective of impact and production. So I didn't really have a clue why I'm taking longer than everyone else. When I started knowing more about my neurodivergence, I only found out about my ADHD about 2.5 years ago. And I was joining Google at that time, and it came to me. And it came to me really in a surprising way. So at that time, I joined an SRE in a business communication area. And basically the entire team was new because it used to be owned by a different team. So we went together in a lot of onboarding sessions. At the beginning, people would go in their basically those sessions talking about different things. And I would have a question or multiple questions about multiple things. And I look around me, I don't see anyone really even showing any kind of signal that they are really stuck on that place. So for me, I'm the only one who's not understanding this. Maybe it is very basic. So I go and I basically get disconnected from whatever they're talking about. I start Googling and I start using the internal search engine as well. And by the time I find the conclusion that I cannot find an answer for this, there would be a lot of slides, so I would need time to connect, and then the whole session would end, and I still have the same question or set of questions not answered. On one time, I started asking those questions that I think everyone finds very basic, and to my surprise, the reaction is always the same. It would be the person would be just pausing for a little bit. It's like, oh, actually, that's a good question. I don't really know. And then they start asking someone else from their team, and that person asks someone else, and it would spawn on like a different discussions. It takes like 10 minutes. And then after that, I keep getting the same feedback from different people. Like they would reach to me on like chat, or if we are like face to face, and they ask me like, how many years you have in like basically experience in working with telecom? And I was like, okay, it's the first time ever I'm hearing about this in the room. And they're like, really? Because your questions are very insightful. They can never come from someone who never saw this before. And then it started clicking in my brain. It's not really about like being intelligent or the IQ or stuff like that. It's maybe because my neurodivergence basically or physically structured my neural pathways in a different way, that somehow when I go into any place, even when I'm buying like, if I'm buying like a shoes or a watch or something like that, it's extremely hard to sell me something fake, because when you show it to me, the first thing that will just jump into my face are things that are out of place, which would basically tell me if it is fake. Like even when I'm like holding a couple of shoes, I can easily from the first second detect like even a single stitch that's out of place, that doesn't match perfectly with the other pair. So for some reason, and it was a nightmare during my entire life, that I always keep seeing problems that no one else see or no one cares about, and it takes me forever to even let others see it. But then I started actually utilizing that. That may be my strength, that may be my difference from everyone else. And that pushes us back into the topic I want to talk about today, which is how a lot of leaders around us are lacking any sort of vision that you can think of. And I would talk about that within two specific domains that everyone is familiar with, which is food delivery, like basically Deliveroo, DoorDash, Uber Eats, Just Eats, all of those things, and like basically tourism business through reservation, like Booking.com, Expedia, all those kind of stuff, okay? So let's start with the travel industry. So if you go back with your memory, like if you are the same age as me, or if you are younger and went to Google this, before like automated system or like e-commerce platforms that work in traveling, like Booking.com, Expedia, all of this existed, the way that people traveled before was done through what's called like a travel agent. So a travel agent would be basically someone who would know a lot about like destinations, experiences, companies, airlines, stuff like that, and they would potentially like have an office somewhere. You would go to that person, you would tell them in many cases about what you're looking for from an experience perspective, which is, I have a couple of weeks of vacation this year. I want to take my family in a place that's sunny, it has a beach, good sandy beach, and kids friendly. I don't want it to be like super expensive. I want to be like within a flight of like maybe 3 to 4 hours max, because my wife doesn't like lengthy flights. So you will give them a lot of information about what you enjoy to be doing, and they will come up with two things. They will come up with where, or maybe different options where you should go, and when is the best time to fit your requirements, your expectations from like schedule and your budget, okay? Now, like if you look, a lot of businesses came into place, Booking.com, Expedia, like Travelodge, all those kind of stuff. And some way during this journey, we lost that. If you go to Booking.com, Expedia, any of those websites or platform, what is the first thing they ask you? Location. What is the second thing they ask you? Time or date. Those are the output that you used to get from the agent. They now became the input for those systems. What is the impact of this? Horrible experience. Because if you think about your vacation, what is common between everyone who has like a full-time job is that you are not free to choose any time for any length, okay? You have limited vacation budget per year. If you have kids in school, it's even becoming worse and worse because you can only go during their off time. So you have limited timing, and you usually have limited budgets, and you usually end up doing one of those major vacations once a year. So you want your vacation not to suck. And in order to do this, what everyone ends up doing is that before you go to Booking.com or Expedia or any platform, you spend a lot of time researching destinations, researching experiences, going through like feedback of people, going through like a lot of comments, what kind of foods that exist, what kind of restaurants, the cost of food, the cost of transportation, how safe it is, all those kind of stuff. You do that research on your own, and then you go to the website to do that reservation. Today, it became a little bit easier with LLMs because you can kind of asking them to do this for you. There is no guarantee that they will not hallucinate, but it's becoming better. But when you go back to like Booking.com and Expedia and other places like this, why on earth they don't have something like this? It's not really that hard to build. It doesn't even need LLMs or stuff like that. It needs technologies that existed 15 or even 20 years ago. If you go to like Booking.com and all those kind of platforms, they have a lot of data about a lot of things. They have data about hotels, they have data about landmarks, they have data about points of interest, they have data about travel, they have feedback from users about travel, about cities, about a lot of different things. Your experience shouldn't always start with choosing a city and choosing a date. It can start with what do you want to do. It can't be as simple as popping up a screen that has what kind of experience you want to go. Beach, night, adventure, something very like romantic for couples, something adventurous, something like that. And it can be like even done using like a finite state machine with different screens. Every one of them would be limiting options, and at the end it will come up with different options. Here is based on what you choose so far. Here is your choices based on the budget you specified. Here is dates that we think it's better. And here is the top 1 or 2 recommendations that we have for you. Today, in order to reach this, you spend a lot of time and a lot of effort, and there is no guarantee that you end up with the best approach, because not everyone is very good at researching and using tools and stuff like that. That's like an easy solution that an intern can actually build. Like if I have access to Booking.com data, I can build this entire experience in a couple of weeks. It will not be really that big of a deal. If you want to like build something really deep, something insightful, maybe using like few models that you build and stuff like that, it will take like what? A team of 5-6 people, like a vertical team between like front end, back end data scientists, maybe 1 or 2 machine learning engineers. It will take them what? 8-9 months to build like an MVP for this. Why it doesn't exist? It's beyond me. Like, what kind of competition exists today between Booking.com, Expedia, different stuff? It's mainly pricing. Like if someone wants to do a market penetration today and dominate the entire industry, the main thing that they can do is burning cash. They would like pretty much burn through all of this. So today the competition is really based mainly on availability of different options and the pricing. That's not like a really hard market entry, basically barrier for other competitors. Like once you have money, you can pretty much take over that. Now let's go to a different industry, like food delivery. If you want to order something today and you have accounts on Deliveroo, Uber Eats, Just Eats, DoorDash, whatever options that exist in your country, which one do you choose from? Based on what? Again, based on availability. Like if you are looking for grilled meat or steak, you will find which one of them give you more options and which of one of them is cheaper. Maybe cheaper on the actual food cost or cheaper on the delivery costs. Aside from this, nothing. You really have nothing that basically connect your customer to you. Like Booking.com tried to get away with this by having like loyalty programs, having like that kind of tiers that give you some discounts and stuff like that, but that's it. That's it. Deliveroo have similar things where you get like some cash back and you use this, but that's not really a great market entry barrier. So let's go again to the food experience itself. When you want to eat right now, how does it go? Okay, usually you, in most cases, want to eat a specific food profile, not an actual food. What does this mean? Like you want to eat something grilled over charcoal. Maybe steak, maybe burger, maybe ribs. You could be open for options. But again, what is the first thing that Deliveroo, Just Eat, Uber Eat, all those sites ask you is what kind of meal or food you're looking for, or what restaurant. I really don't know. I just want to eat something grilled. Or can you suggest to me something? I became adventurous last week and I tried some Asian food that I never tried before. I really liked it. Can you suggest to me something within the same kind of category of food or taste palette, or basically some same kind of like spices that's being used or stuff like that? Today it's impossible to do this on any of those platforms. All filters would go to choose like, oh, Chinese versus Mexican versus Mediterranean, or costs whatever, or it's halal or not, or what kind of health certificate does it have, or delivery distance, or delivery cost, or things like that. But where is the actual tasting palette that exists here? It doesn't. Like what if I like to eat sweet and sour, but I don't like it with a lot of sauce, so it becomes almost like a soup, or not so much sauce, so it becomes very dry. I also like it to be crunchy from outside and softer from inside. Tell me how on earth I would be searching on something like that. I can't. Today I can't. Today the only way I can end up having this is either I keep ordering from the same place that I know is good, or basically try another place and it would be a coin flip. Can any of those businesses like Deliveroo or any of them do better? Of course. They have a lot of data. They have data about places that I ordered from over and over for sweet and sour, and other places that I ordered once. What is the difference? Why I keep ordering from this and not that? You can do data analytics on this and over time start understanding how my taste profile looks like. What do I hate? What do I enjoy? Based on this, not only you would be suggesting where I should be eating sweet and sour from, but you can suggest other plates that have similar profile to sweet and sour with a great certainty that I would like it. You can understand when and where I order something like Italian food. And based on this, you can proactively suggest the right food at the right time, at the right place. You can even go and start a totally new revenue stream that doesn't exist today, which is market analysis. I want to open a falafel place. Where is, like in London, for example, where is the best place that can give me a competitive advantage? I'm willing to pay maybe 30, 40,000 pounds for a report like that. Can Deliveroo give me this report today? Of course. How? Easy. What are the places that people go and search for falafel and they end up not finding it or not ordering it because they cannot find what they're looking for? And based on this, I can easily give a report saying that if you open in this specific area, I can guarantee at least X amount of orders just through my website, because that's what people keep searching for and they can never find. There is like a lot of ideas like that. Many of them would literally generate like a totally new revenue stream without much investment on anything. The data exists, the infrastructure exists. You just need to expose it somehow or build some analysis on the top of it. You can go through that same kind of thing on every single business out there. I made a presentation before. I went through 14 different business domains with the same kind of mentality. It is extremely easy to spot that. It's extremely easy for someone who has some sort of like deep technical knowledge to understand the kind of investment needed to do something like this. It's not really that big from a technology perspective. You can build it like an MVP. You can have like a team of 3 or 4 do that. You can have some interns work on it on a summer, like building an MVP, and then release it for some selected markets or some selected customers or by invitation only, and start seeing if it actually generates the kind of ROI you're looking for or not. But start doing that. If you look at all those industries, booking.com, food delivery, all things like that, and you go last 5-10 years, did anything change at all? Not really. Like the same experience I used in booking.com back in 2015 is almost the same today. Yeah, they increased coverage, they added more cities, they added more points of interest, they added more dates, they became more efficient in pricing, but it is exactly the same thing. Like, how comes 10 years would pass through and you still the same business? You only grow based on the growth of your customer base, like by just acquiring more customers. Because at some point, you cannot acquire more customers. Your market would be like full. And that's why most of those companies would go like through a lot of growth, sometimes hyper growth, and then they will reach a point where they become like pretty stable over years. Why is this? Because, yeah, there is no revenue streams, there is no pivoting, there is no nothing. You're just depending on going into new cities, new countries, maybe adding new restaurants or adding new hotels or things like that, or maybe reaching more customers that you're not able to reach before by adding new payment methods that didn't exist before. That's not really something to gamble the future of a company on. I really hate it because every time I speak about such topics with different people, even people working on such industries, I always get like an eyebrow up, like, yeah, this is actually seems to be like very basic. I'm surprised that we never thought about that. Yes, it is very basic. It's extremely basic that you just hate it, that it doesn't exist. Hate it as a customer. Like, our lives would have been much better if our food delivery and our travel experiences worked like the way I described. And I just gave you like really few examples. I have like a lot more examples about that. Like going back to like the food delivery, for example, things like this. How can you basically, like advertisement, for example, some restaurants could pay